Hi, my name is Willie, and this is the Real Estate Project. This is where I talk about all different types of investing in real estate. Today I'm going to be talking about land, and you've done your marketing, and some people have reached out to you indicating that, yeah, they have an interest in selling their land, or maybe they just want to contact you and find out what are you willing to offer their land. Now, whether they know it or not, they may be hoping that you don't know that their property is like 3 to 4 years behind on property taxes. So they're hoping, like, maybe they can try and get a top dollar for it, and then you find out after the fact that, oh, you owe like $3 or $4 or $5,000 in delinquent taxes. So, but what you want to do is tell them you like to go out to the property, walk around, just have a look, see if there's any kind of issues with it before you come back and make a firm offer. So that buys you a little bit of time. So whether the property is out in the desert, up in the forest, you want to go out to it and have an idea of where the property is. Drive on out, get out, walk around. Some of the things you want to look for if it's out in the desert: Joshua trees. Is there a few Joshua trees? Is there no Joshua trees? Is it like a Joshua tree forest? And I'll tell you what, I've been out to some places, properties are just full of Joshua trees. In California, I don't know about other states, but Joshua trees are protected. And you can't just dig them up out of the ground. You can't just take, something and knock them down. You do that, you're going to get into a lot of trouble and see a lot of fines. If the property's in the forest area, you want to make sure, go out to it, look around. Is the property just full of trees where you may have to start cutting trees down just to be able to have an open area so somebody can build a house on it? You're going to want to check and find out, can you do that? There might be a, like if it's in a county area, the county may say, no, you can't just go and start cutting down trees, but you can get like a permit to remove a certain amount of trees, but that permit's going to cost you X amount of dollars to be able to do it. I've been like in Texas, looked at some properties, nice level property, but the thing is the property is just full of all these different trees. And I mean, to clear a spot to be able to build a house on, you have to have somebody come out and cut down the trees. Some people, some of these people, they may not charge anything at all, because what they do is they look at, hey, you know what, that's firewood. They'll cut the trees down for free, but where the cost comes in is you've got all those tree stumps. They've got to be pulled out of the ground. That can become very expensive. So these are things that you need to look at. Okay, so now that you've gone out to the property, let's say it's a desert lot, and you're walking around, things you want to look for. Is there a dry wash that's running through the property somewhere? Yeah, you say, okay, well, but it hardly rains out in the desert. Well, I'll tell you what, here recently, we've had these monsoonal storms pop up, and, it might put down enough rain that that little dry wash turns into a raging river. And like going back to the Joshua trees, those things are protected plants. You can't just go and dig them up or knock them over. Now they can, you can go to the Bureau of Land Management, and I think you can get like some kind of permits. I don't know how much it costs, but you can remove some of them. You've got to hire a special company, and they have a way of taking them up, and what they do is they move them and replant them somewhere else. But that can be very expensive. The other thing too, like when you go to the BLM office, check and make sure that the area is not one of these like a desert tortoise protected habitat or some kind of thistlewood whatever plant habitat. So you want to make sure that if you buy this property, it's going to be sellable. Unless you plan on using it for yourself. But, either way, I mean, some of these areas, they're protected habitats, and you really can't build a house on them. Sometimes you can't even go out there and even use the property because, like, let's say like the desert tortoise. They don't want people, you know, the Bureau of Land Management doesn't want people going out there racing around on dirt bikes or um, bringing in, you know, RVs and trailers and so on like that, because that upsets the desert tortoise, and you know, of course, then you got problems there. So these are the things you want to take in consideration: trees, what kind of land it is it level, is it downsloped, is it on the side of a cliff? You know, I went out to a property one time there, it was like you couldn't do anything with it. I mean, it was literally the side of a cliff. So, you know, these are all these things that you have to take in consideration. So that'll tell you, you know, okay. Oh, and then another thing too that's really important is does the property front a road, or is it supposedly so-called landlocked now? There really is no such thing as a landlocked property. Even if there are properties around it and it doesn't front the road, you still, as a property owner, have a right to access your property, which means that the property owners that are in the way of, you know, being able for you to go from the road to your property will have to grant you some sort of right of way or easement. Most of the time it's not too bad, you know, they'll do it. You know, you can come and grade in a little dirt road back to your property. But, you know, you never know. You may have that one property owner who's going to be difficult, and guess what? Now you've got to go to court. You got to hire a lawyer. You've got court fees. You're going to have to hire a surveyor. And, you know, there's recording of the survey and all this different stuff. So here you go. Now all of a sudden, oh, this supposedly good, cheap property that you're thinking about being able to buy, now just for court fees and all of that stuff is going to run you another $5,000. So it's like, okay, do you want to still move forward, or do you want to run away quick? And like I said, these are all these different things that you really want to look into. And the reason why you want to do that is that's going to basically tell you, what is this land really worth? I mean, property owners may say, oh, but there was a house, or I mean, not a house, but there was a parcel of land that sold for $40,000. Yeah, you look at that property and it fronted the road. It was fairly cleared. There was no dry wash in it. There was no other, you know, obstructions on the property. There was no other issues on, but their property just happens to be, it's behind, you know, some other properties. You can't, you know, it doesn't front the road. You'd have to dedicate a right of way to get back to the property. It might have a dry wash that goes across the northeast corner of the property, things like that. So all of a sudden, yeah, okay, that property there may have sold for $40,000, but your property has got all these issues. It's worth maybe $15,000. And then looking at the back taxes, you know, maybe they owe $3,000 or $4,000 in delinquent taxes. So it's like, okay, the type of buyer that you're going to have for that property is one who's going to be paying you monthly payments, and is going to want to know that they can get to the property, because a lot of people they're already going to be turned off. Oh, it's landlocked. How am I going to get to it? There's going to be problems. Now you have to kind of educate those people also at the same time. So all of that's going to affect, you know, the value and how much you're going to want to offer for that property. So, you know, they may have in their mind, oh, it's worth $40,000, but in reality, it's maybe more like $15,000. And then you've got delinquent taxes. You're dealing with a buyer who is going to be making payments, not really so much an all cash payment. You know, I mean, all cash buyer. So all of a sudden, it's like, okay, well, you know what? I'm going to offer you $600 for it. And then you're going to have to go into explaining this is why. Make sure you bring your phone or a camera and take pictures of everything, because you want to document that. And then, like, if you get one of those resistant sellers, oh, no, you're crazy. Well, here, what's your email address? Let me send you the photos that I took of your property. Because you know what? A lot of these people, they live out of state. They may have never even seen this property. They don't even know where it is. I mean, you've got owners of property that maybe they inherited it. You know, father died, mother died, and they live in Rhode Island. And it's like, I'm not going out to California. I mean, so they've never even been to the property, but, you know, they look on, let's say, one of these websites that people and agents will list properties on. I want to say Zillow and Realtor.com and whatever other ones. And they see, oh, property over in this area sold for 40. So mine's got to be worth 40 too. So that's about it. That's really the main thing. You know, you've done your marketing, and you've got some interested sellers that have reached out to you. They want to know what you're willing to pay, what you're willing to pay for that property. Or, like I said, maybe they have a dollar amount in their mind, and when you come back and tell them, you know, I'm going to give you $600 for it, then you have to really get there and say, okay, this is why. And here you are, you've got, like, you know, 4 years delinquent property taxes, and you're about to lose it in about 8 months. I'm offering you this. These are the reasons why. You've got Joshua trees. Hey, these are protected plants. You know, you're not going to be able to just knock them over or pull them out of the ground without looking at something. And then you also got to worry about, like I said, protected habitats for some flower, or for the desert tortoise, or maybe the property is up in the mountains and the thing is like a thick forest, and, you know, you got to cut trees down to make it sellable, which means, you know, cutting the trees is not really a problem, because there are people who will cut the trees down just for the wood, for firewood. But then you've got all those tree stumps to pull out of the ground, and that's where the cost comes in. So these are all the things that you really need to take in consideration and determine, what are you willing to offer for it with the problems that may be there, or is it better to just walk away? Hopefully you have more than just one property to go look at. Hopefully you have like 3 or 4, 5, and you pick the best ones to make the offers on. And that's really the name of the game, because depending on who you want your buyer to be, I mean, there's buyers out there for every piece of property, depending on what they can use for it or what they want to use it for, whether it's, you know, putting a house on it, or if it's just going to be one of these places for them to pull out the trailers and unload the off-road, you know, toys and stuff like that, and they can race around. Because, like, there are some areas here in California where they really say, you know, you're only really supposed to be racing around your off-road toys on your property. But, you know, sheriff department, unless they get a complaint, they're not going to come out and bother anybody. You've also got things too, like other things going on out in the desert areas. California right now, you know, marijuana is legalized, so you've got a lot of these illegal marijuana grow sites that are just popping up all over the place. And they don't even really care if they encroach on your property. All they're looking at is, hey, you know what? Our cash crop is marijuana. We don't care whether you like it or not. I mean, we've got our grow whatever houses, and then they might be on your property, but we don't care, you know, because they don't see you coming out or anything like that. You know, they're probably hoping that you never come out and you won't even notice. You know, you got things like that because there's a bunch of toxic waste stuff and trash that can end up on your property, that once you buy that property, you're going to end up being responsible for removing all that trash. And hopefully there's no toxic waste on there, because then we're talking a bunch more money. So that's it. I mean, it's great that you've done your marketing. It's working out. You're getting a landowners contacting you saying, hey, yeah, I'm interested in selling my property. Now they want to either, find out how much you're willing to offer for it, or like I said, they've got a dollar amount in their mind for what they want. So, but that's great. At least you're getting people contacting you. Okay, well, that's it. Next video will be, some other subject. I'll figure it out. So like and subscribe, and that way you can get notified when my videos come up. And that's great. Like I said, it's great that you're getting people contacting, because that's the biggest step right there. Once you got that going, the buyers are out there, and they're there. It's just a matter of that one buyer, whatever type of buyer it is, whether you're going to get the monthly payer or the all cash. So, all right, enough of this rambling on from me. It's great. Have a great day, and it's wonderful that that you have property, that you have landowners contacting you. All right, see you next time. Bye bye.